Okay. How does he do that? How do you think God is able to combine his justice with his love?
He is God. He can do whatever he wants.
He can do because he says so. Okay. Well, that's true, right? Because he is a person. What do you think's the mechanics of how he does it? Biblically, how does he do that?
Because love rejoices not in iniquity, but rejoices in truth.
I told you, no Bible verses. Okay. So, because she's saying love rejoices in truth. Okay? But what has that got to do with how love can also be just? How is it just?
Well, justice kind of works two ways. It punishes the criminal, but protects the victim.
Interesting. So he's saying somehow in this idea of love is punishment. Really? Okay, this is good. This is good. We got to think about this. He's actually saying somehow justice involves punishment. Really?
As a parent, you punish your children because you love them. Parents who don't punish their children are lazy.
So now he's saying, I've tried training my child, they're not listening, time for punishment.
But you can show love in a different way. You don't always have to punish to actually make the situation be resolved.
So he's now saying, however, there is a way you can demonstrate justice by just loving with no punishment. So are you saying that? I'd love to hear that. Go ahead.
So at its core, justice is having a set of values that you want to apply to a group of people. And God wants us to be like him, so he applies his values and morals to us because he loves us.
Kind of like North Korea, right? Where the leader of North Korea would say, I love all my people, right? I love them so much that I'm going to apply my rules to them, and that will demonstrate when I punish them how much I love them because they're not listening.
Well, the difference is that God's values are actually just, while North Korea's values are left to interpretation.
Oh, so in other words, when somebody claims in our culture that this is good, and someone else says that's your interpretation, then we've got two views of what's good, and who's ever in which camp can go ahead and live according to that way, because that's good.
That's if there's always subjective morality and not objective morality.
Okay, so now he's coming back, but there is objective morality, and so if objective morality exists, objective morality doesn't have to have any punishment involved. So people who are objectively wrong don't, according to him in the back, deserve punishment. Just love. This class is too confusing. We're getting out of here. Go ahead.
Because it is loving to, I forgot the word I was going to use. It is loving to not encourage the things that harm people and harm the ones I love.
So justice is about encouraging.
No. It's about not encouraging evil.
So justice is about just don't encourage evil. So when evil occurs, what do you do?
I kill evil. I don't
He
know.
kills her. She kills her. Okay. All right. See, do you understand why this is different than when we study science and biology and biochemistry? You can literally look at gears in an insect and know right away, hey, that ain't normal. Somebody designed that. You can see things from the outside. What's different when we talk about justice and love is that we are no longer on the outside. We're not in the bleachers watching people play a game. We're in the game. It's inherent in us. And so it's difficult. This is a totally different thing. When God says in Psalm 19, when it says, the heavens declare the glory of God, what he's saying is, I'm over here, I'm looking up, I'm on the outside, I'm observing it, and he's real. I can see this, right? When in Psalm 8 it says, when I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, it's the same thing. I'm seeing these things. So we have a lot of things like that. We see the person of Jesus Christ, and we know he's different. We just know it by the way he acts and lives. We see things in nature. We see things in living beings. We've gone through all this stuff, and we know there's a God based on the evidence. The reason, why do we have policemen? Right, because everybody thinks they're right. People will say, and God actually addresses this in the Old Testament, I'm starving, I'm broke, I have no money. That's why I stole the loaf of bread. That's why I took it out of that grocery store. And God goes, you're right, it's okay, because you're starving and you don't have anything. Does God consider that wrong? The person's starving. They have 3 people to feed at home. What happens when I use this example? You've talked too much already, hold on. What happens when I use this example? How does it make you feel? It feels bad, doesn't it? Yeah, because we're not in that position yet. None of us, most of us aren't. Some of us may have lived it, but a lot of us are pretty comfortable. We're going to go home and, you know, the worst thing that could have happened yesterday is the Chiefs lost. That would have ruined our day, right? Other people, they can't feed their families. So we're in a little bit of a different world. So when we use that example, it's a lot of people who aren't close to Christ or close to God, they're going to say in their minds, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you provide food? Why would you let people get to that point? And they're going to, in their minds, turn it as something's wrong with God. See what I mean? So that's because we're in this. This is not like science. This isn't like Jesus seeing him. This is something that's part of who we are. When we think about the garden, we've talked about this before. Why were Adam and Eve hiding? Why were they hiding? Why were they ashamed? No, they didn't know what sin was yet. Why were they ashamed? They're naked. You notice we're all wearing clothes? Would this be a weird class? We're all here naked?
I'm not taking that class.
It would be weird. Why were they hiding? Because they were naked. Why were they ashamed? Because they were naked. But they were naked before they ate from the apple. Now they know. Now, this is what's going on, guys. It's not that God didn't tell him. It's that sin became part of who they are. It wasn't before then. It became an experience. They actually experienced what it's like to be sinful. It's hard to describe. We know, we don't want to admit it, we don't talk about this in church, but how do you feel when you know there are things you do that if someone else saw it, they may not want to be your friend anymore, or they think differently of you? How would that make you feel? Ashamed, right? This is because that's who we are. We don't want to accept that. Whether you're a Christian or not doesn't matter. This is who you are. I don't know how to make this more clear.